part 2 of the Pocket Plant Challenge. Last week, we sprouted seeds in pocket plant pouches. We placed seeds on a lightly damp paper towel, folded it up, and placed it all in a sealed baggie. We kept the baggie in a pocket or someplace a little bit warm, and then checked our pouches daily, sprinkling a little water if the paper dried out. If you didn't watch the first video, you may want to pause here, click the link below this video, and watch that one now. The seeds I chose to sprout were from a tomato that I bought at the store, but you might have chosen seeds from a garden store, seeds you found in your neighborhood, or seeds from other food in your kitchen. To be honest, I didn't really know if my seeds were going to germinate or not, and you might have had the same question too. It made it really exciting for me when I checked on day 4 and saw 3 tiny sprouts. But what if you don't have any sprouts yet? You might be wondering, what's going on? That's a really great science question. By asking questions and observing, we can find our answers. You might even want to keep a journal with daily observations and drawings. I bet you can think of some reasons why your seeds might not have sprouted yet. How many can you think of? Pause the video here and brainstorm as many reasons as you can. How many of these possible explanations or hypotheses did you come up with? My seeds just needed more time to sprout. My paper towel wasn't wet enough and the seeds dried out. My paper towel was too wet and the seeds got moldy. My seeds have a disease. My seeds are too old, they're not viable anymore. My seeds are too young, they're not fully mature because they came from an unripe fruit. My seeds need some kind of special treatment to sprout, like maybe if the seeds came from a climate that gets very cold, they might need to go through a few weeks of cold weather or time in the freezer before they can sprout. Or if the seeds came from a tropical climate, they might need more heat to sprout. Or if the seeds have a very thick seed coat, they might need to be broken or softened before they'll sprout. Does one of these explanations sound most possible to you? You might want to do further research or set up an experiment to test your hypothesis. Once your seeds have sprouted, you're ready to transplant them into pots. Here's what you'll need for the next step: containers that have drainage holes, potting soil, and water. The first step is to prepare your containers. You can use recycled food containers if you don't have plant pots. Have an adult help you safely poke a few small holes in the bottom to let out extra water. The second step is to get your potting soil ready. Potting soil is a mixture of light materials that are good for holding water. It's also been sterilized or heated up to make sure there are no molds or other diseases that could harm your plant. When you're gardening in pots, it's better to use potting soil than garden soil. But if you can't get potting soil, you can always experiment with whatever you have on hand. Prepare the soil by getting it damp but not wet. Mix the water in with your hand so that it feels like a wrung-out sponge. It should clump when you squeeze it, but not drip. Now fill your pots with potting mix. Pat the soil lightly to make sure there are no air pockets, and add extra soil if you need to. I'm going to grow a few tomatoes in each pot, and then transplant them into the garden when they're big enough. Carefully pinch the seed leaves without touching the delicate roots of your sprout, and pull them off of the paper towel. Lower the root into the hole and pinch the soil around it. If the roots are damaged now, they won't be able to bring nutrients to the plant, and the plant might die, so this is a really important step. Once all of the seedlings are tucked into the pot, you can gently water them in. Try to use a watering can that has a sprinkler rosette so that the water comes out like a gentle rain, instead of pouring a flood of water that could damage the plants. Next steps. Keep your seedlings on a sunny windowsill on top of a tray to collect water. Check the soil daily and water it again as it starts to feel dry. We'll follow up with another video once the seedlings have about 4 leaves and are ready to be transplanted outside. Happy growing!